The day started like any other. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, the smell of coffee and bacon filling the air. My wife, Sarah, was humming a tune as she flipped pancakes. "Morning, love," she said, her smile as warm as the sun. "Make sure you wake Lily, she'll be late for school." I nodded, grabbing a mug. "On it," I replied, heading up the stairs. The morning routine was a comforting rhythm, a familiar song we danced to every day. Later that afternoon, as I was fixing a leaky faucet, I called out, "Hey, can you ask Lily what she wants for dinner?" The clatter of plates stopped. Sarah appeared in the doorway, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Lily?" she asked, her voice tinged with genuine puzzlement. "What daughter?" My heart hammered against my ribs. I dropped the wrench, a metallic clang echoing in the sudden heavy silence. "What do you mean, what daughter?" I stammered, forcing a laugh that came out as a strangled gasp. "Our daughter, Lily." But her expression didn't change. It was a blank wall of non-recognition. I stumbled into the living room, my eyes frantically scanning the wall of family photos. The trip to the Grand Canyon, Lily's 5th birthday, our first Christmas as a family of 3. But she wasn't there. The space where her gap-toothed grin should have been was just me and Sarah smiling into the camera. It was our life, but edited, hollowed out. I ran to her room. It was empty. The bed was stripped, the closet bare. But on the floor, a lone, worn-out teddy bear sat staring up at me, a silent testament to a life that had just been erased. Panic seized me. I drove to the police station, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I explained everything, my voice cracking, desperation clawing at my throat. I told them about Lily, about the photos, about Sarah's vacant stare. The officer, a man I'd known since high school, listened patiently. He typed her name into his computer, the clicking of the keys unnervingly loud in the quiet room. He turned the monitor towards me. No birth certificate, no school records, no dental files, nothing. It was as if she had never been born. "Look, Mark," he said, his voice soft, almost pitying. "It's been a stressful year. Maybe you should go home. Get some rest." His partner gave him a nervous, sidelong glance, a silent exchange that screamed they thought I was losing my mind. They saw a grieving man hallucinating a ghost. I saw a world starting to unravel. That night, an impromptu town meeting was held in the old community hall. Fear was a palpable thing, a cold fog that clung to everyone. People spoke in hushed, frantic whispers. It wasn't just me. A teacher, her face pale and drawn, spoke of a student who had simply vanished from her attendance lists, a name she could almost remember but couldn't quite grasp. An old farmer swore his neighbor of 40 years was gone, his house empty, his land untended. But no one else seemed to recall him ever living there. A collective chill ran through the crowd. This wasn't a series of isolated incidents or memory lapses. It was something else, something coordinated. Something was actively hunting us, not by taking our lives, but by taking our very existence from the memory of the world. The fear shifted, solidifying into a shared, terrifying dread. The next morning confirmed our worst fears. The town's mailman, a cheerful man named George who always had a dog treat in his pocket, was gone. His little red truck wasn't on its usual route. The post office was locked, the mail slots empty. A few of us went to his house. The door was unlocked. Inside, everything was neat, orderly. His uniform was folded perfectly on a chair by his bed, as if he'd just taken it off and was about to start his day. But the house was silent. It felt unlived in. Not abandoned, but like it had never been occupied at all. The air was stale, holding no trace of him. It was the absence that was so horrifying. A person-shaped hole had been cut out of our reality, and the world had seamlessly, unnaturally, stitched itself back together around the void. We started noticing a pattern, a terrifying cosmic scale pattern. Every night, at precisely 3 a.m., the sky would flicker. It wasn't lightning. It was a silent, split-second flash of pale, sterile light that seemed to pulse from everywhere at once. And every morning after the flash, someone else would be gone. Panic turned into a desperate, frantic scramble to hold on. We began writing things down. Lists of everyone we knew, our families, our friends, our neighbors. We described them in excruciating detail. The sound of their laugh, the color of their eyes, the stupid jokes they told. We clutched these lists like religious artifacts, a shield against the encroaching amnesia. We were trying to anchor our reality with ink and paper, terrified that if we looked away, if we blinked, we would forget who we were supposed to be mourning. I kept a notebook, a small leather-bound journal, hidden beneath my floorboards. It was my ark, my last bastion against the flood of forgetting. I filled its pages with names, with crude drawings of faces, with memories I prayed I wouldn't lose. Lily, George, the Millers from down the street. I wrote about Sarah, about our first date, about the day we got married, terrified I might wake up and not recognize the woman sleeping next to me. One night, I pulled the notebook out, my hand trembling. The ink was fading. The names I had written with such desperate clarity were blurring, the letters bleeding into one another until they were just meaningless, smudged lines on a page. Even my own handwriting felt alien, the loops and curves of the letters unrecognizable. The paper wasn't just a record anymore, it was a tombstone, and the epitaphs were disappearing. Soon only a handful of us were left, maybe a dozen. We huddled together in the library, the last survivors of a forgotten town. We vowed to stay awake, to watch each other, to fight the 3 a.m. flash. We brewed pots of bitter coffee, our eyes red-rimmed and raw with exhaustion and fear. The air was thick with the ticking of the grand clock in the corner, each second a hammer blow counting down to our potential erasure. Then it happened. 3 a.m. The world outside the windows flashed white. For a moment we were all silhouettes, frozen in time. The light faded. We were all still there, a breath of relief. And then, a woman across the room, her face a mask of pure terror, looked around at us, at the strangers surrounding her. Who are you people? She whimpered, backing away. Where am I? I woke up to silence. Not the quiet of an early morning, but a profound, absolute silence that pressed in on me from all sides. The house was empty. Sarah was gone. I ran outside. The streets were deserted. Every house, every shop, every car was empty, a perfect, lifeless diorama. I was the only one left. I screamed. I screamed for Sarah, for Lily, for anyone. My voice echoed down the empty streets, the only sound in a world that had forgotten how to speak. I ran until my lungs burned, my shouts turning into ragged sobs. There were no answers, no voices called back. There was only the wind whistling through the hollow shell of a town that, just days ago, had been my entire world. I was a ghost, haunting the graveyard of my own life, the last person to remember it ever existed. My mind was fracturing. Was I real? Was any of this real? In a final, desperate act of defiance, I stumbled back to my empty house, found a can of spray paint in the garage, and wrote my own name in huge, jagged letters across the living room wall. M-A-R-K. A declaration. A plea. I am here. I exist. Remember me. I collapsed onto the floor, staring at my name, my last anchor to myself, as the sky outside began to pale with the coming dawn. And then it came, the final flash, a silent, all-consuming pulse of white light. The camera holds on the empty room. On the wall, the black letters of the name begin to fade, dissolving like smoke, the paint receding back into the wall until nothing remains, only a blank, empty surface. The world doesn't end in fire or in silence. Sometimes it just ends when no one is left to remember it was ever there.